Feed your cable through your hole, come down below and into the back stud, make the turn, come up to the box that is presently at 42 inches. Usually thermostats are mounted at switch height, which is around 52, but we will use the existing one for today's lab. Run another piece of 12-2 wire from that box and come down to the bottom where your baseboard heater will be mounted. This red wire is a 12-2 that's used for baseboard heaters. Strip your cable. Notice that your cable in this type of cable is a red and a black. There is no white because we will not be hooking up a neutral. We'll be hooking up this red and black to a double pole breaker. In this case, a double pole 15, because a baseboard heater does not need a neutral. Insert your cable in the panel. Ready to hook up to our double pole breaker. Strip the cable where the thermostat's going to go and the other one that's going to go to the baseboard, and put them into the bottom of your box. Once you got your cables in, push them in till you see the plastic coming through, like so, and then fasten your ground screws for both wires on the back screws. Take your ground screws, wrap them around one, wrap around the other, tighten them up. Once your ground screws are tightened to the back, trim the excess off that's not needed, and now you're ready to make a connection to your thermostat. But we will go down to the baseboard and pass the wire into the baseboard first. Baseboard heater we're going to be using in our lab is a 300 watt baseboard heater. The rating is found right here. 240 volts, 300 watts, 1.25 amps. If you're putting it into apartment buildings, you might have 208 and 225 watts. To begin this lab, you're going to have to open up the panel on the right hand side. So we take the cover off by snapping the front off, such as this, and we are going to take off this panel by undoing the screws. Just undo the screws a little bit, not totally completely. The panel should slide off because it has a keyhole in it, exposing the two wires. And we are going to disconnect this moret, exposing the two ends. And we're going to strip our red wire and come in from the back of this clamping device that's built into it. Take off the moret, loosen those wires. This is the clamp we are going to put the cable in. So you need to back off that clamp. Each baseboard is a little different. This one here, you loosen off the bracket and pull out the clamp to remove it and expose the ground wire. You're going to place the cable here, wrap your ground around, and then put the clamp back on. So you place your cable there. Now you have your ground exposed. You can wrap your ground wire around your screw. So once you've wrapped your ground wire around, a little hard to do while holding the camera obviously, make sure you tighten it. And now you can cut that extra copper off and put the bracket back on. So we're going to cut that copper off. Going to get your bracket. Notice that it goes into some slots here. You keep one on top and two go underneath, like so. Remember to catch the keyhole and slide it down, and that should be able to hold your clamp in place. Tighten your cable down so that it's snug but not super tight that it cuts into the cable. That looks good. If we flip that over, we'll see the cable's good and it's ready to be mounted to the wall. You've got your cable mounted to your baseboard heater. We're going to mount the baseboard heater to the wall. Remember, the rule says that we must be at least 13 millimeters from the floor, that any combustible material. We are going to treat our concrete floor as hardwood, and therefore it must be a minimum of 13 millimeters from the floor. It can be higher, but minimum must be 13 millimeters. I usually place these baseboards the height of above the baseboards that are planted on the walls. Usually that's a size of about 3.5. Sometimes it could be 6 inches depending on your custom homes. You can mount the baseboard using these holes. So you'll need to find some studs and find out where the studs are. Obviously we'll have drywall here. In this case you don't have any drywall, so you know where your studs are. And that is the reason why we placed this little piece in the corner. Put your baseboard heater tight to the wall, like that, so it hangs over. That's why it's important also to run your wire on the back side of that 2x4, so that it comes off on the other side of the 2x4. In this case we came around the back side of the 2x4 because this 2x4 doesn't have any holes. In the real world you would have drilled a hole someplace to come through and then pick up your cable. Sometimes when you're doing basements you are allowed to go behind the studs if there's room, such as it is here, to go around the cable. But you can only do that for 1.8 meters, and then you have to fasten the cable, because cables must be fastened as per rule 1.8 meters with a staple of some kind or some kind of support. Okay, you're going to get your baseboard, get a couple screws, and you're going to mount the baseboards to the screws so it picks up a stud on either side if possible. As you can see, I've picked up this hole on this side of the baseboard and picked up the very last hole to pick up the 2x4 that we put sideways. In the real world you would have to find two studs at 16-inch centers and fasten that wall and make sure that it's secure. I've given myself more than 13 mils. Like I said, the minimum is 13 millimeters that it must be from the floor of any combustible material. At this point, strip your red and black conductors from your cable and get ready to moret them to the other red and black that came with the baseboard. So this will go here with a moret, and that will go there with another moret. As you can see here, they've been moretted together. You're ready to push the cables back in. And install the cover back on. Tighten the screw, and you're ready to go make your connections up at your thermostat. This is your thermostat. It's got two wires on it. You're going to hook up one of the phases from the panel, and the other phases will be read together. I will show you this in the next few slides. Strip all your wires. Make sure you use the 12 gauge on your strippers, because this is a 12-2. If you use 14, you may nick it and damage the wire, and when you twist them together they will break. So now you're going to twist either two blacks together or two reds together. Either one is fine. Twist your wires together. Trim them. Put a yellow moret on it. You can put a yellow moret on two number 12s. Any more than that, you have to go to the next size up. Push your cable in all the way to the back, and like so. That leaves just your black cables, which you're going to hook up to your thermostat via two barrettes. Taking my two black wires, one comes from the panel, one goes down the baseboard. We already moretted the red ones, we put them in. So basically, this thermostat acts as a switch and stops the current from flowing to the baseboard when it's turned off. When you call it for more heat, it closes the switch and allows current to flow down. The complete path is between the blacks going down through the heaters and coming back up on the red and back to the panel. So this is all done. We're ready to push this into the panel, into the box, sorry. And this can be fastened. This cover comes off in the front. This cover comes off. Put to the side for now. You'll see two screws, one here, one down below. They go in the screws just like we do with plugs and switches, and it gets fastened that way. Alright. We're done here. We're going to connect the last section, which is the breaker. Okay, we're going to type in, so we're going to connect our ground wire. I formed it. I'm going to trim it. Put it into the ground lug. I'm going to form my wires to hook up to my breaker. Trim them. Strip them and get them ready for connection to the breaker lugs. Okay, we've hooked up our red and black on our 2-pole 15. Alright, this is a 12 gauge wire, so technically we could put a 20 amp. What determines what size breaker and what wire you use is your calculation of how much wattage is done on the baseboard. We're hooking up a very small baseboard, but we could hook up many more baseboards in parallel on this 15 amp breaker, and if it was 20, even additional ones. Calculations like this will be done in co-class further on in the course, or when you return to us as an apprentice. So the wires are checked, make sure they're tight. They go down to the cable, which we ran, come across, came up to our built-in thermostat. We go down to our baseboard, and it's wired in. The second part of the lab is to demonstrate how to install a baseboard heater with a built-in thermostat instead of a wall-mounted thermostat that we did in the first part. A built-in thermostat goes in this location. You take this plate out and you replace it with a built-in thermostat. As you can see, the thermostat unit is already built into the plate, and the two wires will once again be connected to one of the colors coming in, either red or black, and joining the existing ones. So in this lab we will leave the reds connected, take apart the black wires and hook these up to the two wires of the thermostat. Now that we've hooked up your black wires to your thermostat, push all the cables in. Try to put them all to one side if possible, because this unit will take up space, and if the morettes are in the way, it won't go in very well. So try to put your morettes to one side or another, or split them between. It is a little tricky to get in. Much easier to do with two hands, obviously. So put that in, slide up, tighten your screw, and your thermostat is installed. If you turn your thermostat counterclockwise, it's in the off position. As you turn it clockwise, you should hear a click. That's indicating that it will now, the switch is closed and will draw current and heat up. If you back it off, you'll hear a click again. That's the off position. That's one way of setting your temperature for a baseboard heater. Whenever you have this kind of thermostat, that means that that baseboard is controlled only by that thermostat and no other. We've hooked up your inline or built-in thermostat. Just want to point out that we would not need the wall-mounted thermostat. So the wire would come directly from the panel, will come directly to the baseboard if you use this kind of thermostat. The more common one is the one we use in the wall, where you control it from one side of the room, usually not mounted right above the baseboard, because you wouldn't get an accurate reading for room temperature, but maybe in the opposite side of the room. And therefore you can hook up a baseboard here, and from this location you can alternate to other baseboards in the room if required. Now that your baseboard is complete, take the cover. Usually start from the bottom, line up both ends. It should just snap into place. I say should. Sometimes she doesn't cooperate. Obviously I'm off a little bit, so I need to slide it over. Now fix that, and it should go in. And that's complete. This part of the video is indicating a safety feature that comes with the baseboard heater. It's called a high limit switch. In case it overheats, this high limit switch will cut the power off and turn the heat off on the baseboard.